What's up, everybody? This is Connor and Joshua with J. Tactical. Today we have the Girsan whatever match.
Girsan MCP 35 PI match.
That's what we've got to review for you guys today. It's kind of an interesting firearm. It's based off of a Browning high power. So let's see how it does. Alright, so the first thing we're going to get into is the value of this gun. So this gun comes in around, I think it's around the $500 price point.
Yeah.
So it's kind of right there in the middle of the market for what firearms are kind of going for right now. So pretty standard there as far as the value. I'm not going to talk about the sights because Joshua did a little bit of work on the sights. I'm going to let him start off on the sights.
Yeah, it does come originally with white dot sights, but you know, I found this cool product which you just dip on this glow-in-the-dark paint. So I bought like an orange color and a green color. I made the front one orange and the rear green. They kind of are close to the CZ sight, so they kind of charge off the sun, and then you have some night sight. So, and it just helps. I'm not a huge fan of just having white dots. So having that different color with that different color front sight, I like that. So that's why we did it. It's cheap. You just kind of put that little paint on there, you're good to go.
And what a better gun to try it on. It's a budget gun that we're not super worried about, so it kind of worked out for us that we could try it on this gun. So, But so was it just the white sights before you did that?
Yeah, it was just white dot sights, pretty standard, you know, nothing crazy. They do make optic cut models. This one's not. You have to pay a little bit more for that, and we just weren't interested in that for this gun. This isn't, So.
And are the sights metal or plastic?
They feel like metal.
Okay.
Yeah. Metal sights.
All I did was shoot this gun. Joshua was the one that went and got it, and so he's kind of the expert on this one today, but I just shot it with him, so he's going to do most of the talking.
Oh, fun. So I guess we'll move on to the slide. So the slide, it is lacking a little bit in the front with some slide serrations, which would be nice. I know they're trying to keep it that high power looks. Maybe that's why they didn't do it, but if they wanted to modernize it just a little bit more, it would be nice to have some serrations up front. Go ahead.
I don't know that the serrations, I don't know that this gun's ever going to be meant to have serrations, because I get, pinching it up here and pulling it back, but if you grip a little too far as gripping down on the slide, your finger runs into this super long slide release. And that did happen to us multiple times in shooting. So I will say I don't know if you could ever get away with it. You almost have to pinch it like you do a CZ like PO1 with that shorter slide on there. You can pinch it and miss it, but if you just go and wrap over it like any normal gun, you're going to kind of pick yourself right there on your hand.
If you guys can't see, this is what he's talking about right here. You can kind of see just the thickness of where your finger is when you go to pull it. It smacks that right there. So it's just a little bit uncomfortable. So I guess they try to force you to use those rear ones. Maybe that's why they do it.
Yeah.
Moving on, they do make some that have a rail. So that's one thing about this gun. There's a lot of options. You don't have to have the most. You can save a little bit money if you don't want all the options. But you could have a rail on here, but this one does not. Which is perfectly fine. We just bought the gun just to be able to review the gun.
Yeah.
Pretty standard with the round off trigger guard. Looks fine on this gun. If you want to talk about the grip a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the gun is going to have a lot of similar features to a 1911. It's just a double stack, right? So you have was it a 15 round?
It's a 15
round magazines, which is, pretty cool. I really like the grips on here. They did a really good job with these G10.
They look good too.
It looks amazing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The whole gun in general, I think they did a good job on. The Cerakote that they put on here is a very high quality looking finish. I mean, there's not any imperfections really in the gun at all. So I like that they're putting a little bit more thought and a little bit more, kind of variety in the grip that you're getting on the gun, because there's a little lacking on the front and back strap. It's just smooth. So I think they did a really good job with that, the actual grip panels on the gun.
Absolutely. And I will say the recoil on this gun was actually pretty low.
Yeah.
actually very surprisingly.
It's very
I know
small,
they
yeah.
just came out with a lightweight version of this with a aluminum frame, which would be pretty interesting, which is the same size slide, if I'm not mistaken, as this one. It's just got that aluminum. But this one handled the recoil really well.
Yeah.
One thing we did notice, though, is kind of going back to the slide, is this has a really tight hammer spring on it. And so when you pull the slide back on it, it feels really tight. But once the hammer's back and you start moving it, this gun feels super smooth.
It's buttery.
Yeah, it almost feels like a CZ. Like it's really nice. It's just got a really tight hammer spring on it. And you kind of notice that when you pull the trigger. The trigger itself, it comes to a very defined wall. It's got a little bit of take up, and I really like the flat trigger on it.
Yeah.
But you got a little bit of take up, come to a wall, and then you pull the trigger. It is kind of a heavy trigger for what it is, but the brake is super clean on it.
Right.
And then the reset is a little lacking. So it's a good bit of travel, and you don't hear it and you don't feel it. So
I would say there is no reset. Is what I would say.
Yeah, I mean
there's no. He's got it right next to my ear, and I can't hear anything.
Yeah.
There's no reset.
And you can't feel it.
And that's one thing that we talked about when we were shooting it. If they could have found out a way to get the reset working, like the reset more proactive, where it's pushing your finger out, the gun would be really, really good. But because the brake, where it is heavy, it's really crisp.
Really crisp.
So when you go to pull that trigger back, it is a very defined pull. It's a clean brake, and it's pretty easy to shoot well even at distance.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that reset. You're having to like mentally think about, hey, I got to take my finger pretty much all the way off the trigger, which we never recommend.
Yeah.
We always recommend riding that reset. Well, there's no reset to ride on this trigger, so you're just kind of slapping it.
It literally resets at the furthest point.
Yep.
Like at the end of where all your take up is.
Right.
Yeah. So I have seen there's a guy that you can send it off to, and he basically does a trigger job on it, and he pretty much eliminates that and makes it look run really smoothly. But you're gonna have to spend a little bit more money to do that. So we're just reviewing the gun as it comes. Like Hunter said before, it does have 15-round magazines, which is perfect for this size firearm. It's nice and compact. I will say the control, the slide stop slide release, you have this big old lever. Although we were complaining about it earlier, it is really nice. It's easy to reach with your thumb, and it's you get a lot of leverage on it as well.
Yeah.
And then the safety, it's not as good as a 1911, but it's okay.
It's pretty close.
It's not bad. It's not as big. You can't ride it as much because of where it sits. It's not like that little arch like a 1911, but it's not bad by any means. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think they did a pretty good job, especially with it being ambi, because typically when you get ambi 1911 safeties, if they don't do that arc like you're talking about, it'll dig into your hand when you're trying to really wrench down the gun. But this safety is pretty much out of the way when you go to shoot. There's a little bit of a ledge you can get your thumb on, but there's not a ton of space for you to put your thumb there.
Yeah.
But it definitely does not get in any of the on the other side of your hand where your actual your trigger finger is. There's nothing touching your finger, so there's no hot spots there or anything. It's a very enjoyable gun to shoot because of that. Yeah. But the safety, for a cheaper gun, it's a pretty quality safety in my opinion. Yeah. They did a good job on it. The mag release is impressive to me.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It sticks out plenty, and it's very easy to hit. There's not a lot of resistance there. I think that's probably one of the smoother mag releases out there.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's just you don't have to push it in a ton for the mag to actually drop. So you hit it, you're on to slapping a new mag in there, you're ready to go. So something that simple really adds up when you come to the shootability of the gun, how well you can exchange mags and get back to it and not have to change your grip. So I like all the actual features on the gun. All the controls are pretty quality.
Yeah. So overall, I guess I'll ask you the question: would you buy this? And if you did, who would you recommend it to? What is this good for?
So I mean, at this price point, man, that's a hard question. I don't know that I would personally buy this.
Okay.
I don't know that I have any need for this gun. I have CZs this size, that P01 Shadow 2 compact, that are similar to this size. Now they are more expensive, but the actual performance that I'm getting out of those is similar, if not better, than this gun. And I don't really see myself going out and shooting this gun a lot. It's cool, but I don't know if it's something that I see myself going out and spending the money on. I may save up and do something else with it.
Yeah.
It's nothing against the gun. There's just, I don't know. It's just something there that I'm not really looking for. It's a cool gun. It's nice.
Yeah.
It's a good value. So if you're looking, I would say if I'm going to recommend it to anybody, it's somebody that can't find a Browning high power that they want. They can't afford a true Browning high power, and they can't afford some of the more expensive copies of it. Then yeah, go get this because it works really well. I mean, I've heard some other people having issues with theirs, but we didn't have any issues with ours, and we shot it a lot. So, I mean, if that's what you're looking for, then I would recommend it to you. But other than that, I don't see myself picking one up.
Yeah, so I have to say I would because I did, obviously.
But if you weren't going to do a review on one, would you get one?
So, and that's what I was going to say, is the one area that this is lacking that would either make me have to upgrade it or get rid of it is the trigger.
Yeah.
So, I might actually look into getting some work done to the trigger. We have some local, gunsmiths that might be able to do some work on it. And if it's good, I might keep this one. If not, it might be something that I use that to get a different gun.
Yeah.
So, and it's just because of the trigger. Now, it looks amazing. It shoots fine, but I'm very picky on what I actually keep in my collection. It's going to be something that I regularly use or a good collector's item. And it's just not worth staying in my safe if it's nothing special about it. Because I know it looks good, but what's special about it that makes me want to keep it in my gun safe?
That's what I was going to say. Is everything it does okay.
Yeah.
And then the trigger I would say, is below okay.
Yeah.
The trigger is, in my opinion, probably getting into the bad category just because the reset. The brake is good, but the reset's not. So a gun like that where everything is just okay, that's what the mindset you have to have when you're going into, if that's something you're going to pick up, is don't expect to get it and it to be like, oh my goodness, this thing is awesome, because it's just everything it does is just going to do okay at it.
But like I said, if you plan on getting the trigger upgraded, and if we do that, we can always do an updated video on what was that money worth it. Then it might be, but I wouldn't really recommend it for someone. Obviously not for carry. This is not something I would seriously consider for carry.
Or if you know how to do it yourself, like if you know how to work on a trigger like that, and if you guys have any suggestions, let us know down in the comment section, because we'd love to know if we could just do it ourselves. But that's just the information we have for you guys based off of our experience with it. Like we said, it's really up to you to make the decision whether or not you'd want it. We're just trying to give you guys the information to kind of help with that decision. But if you guys have any questions about the gun or anything else, let us know down in the comments. If you have any ideas that you would like to see us do videos on, just let us know. Make sure you guys subscribe and share this video, and we'll catch you next time.